Let's start the chitty chatting. So welcome everybody to the Menswear Mindset. It is your two favorite hosts on the podcast platforms, your favorite ear friends, Lewis from Aspiring Gent and my friend
Austine Robertson of Gentleman's Avenue. Did you just call us ear friends?
We are their ear friends.
They're ear friends. That's just a different term. Like, I don't hate it. It's just different.
It is different, and that's just what we are.
Different. If you have been listening to us for any amount of time, you definitely know that we're different.
Anyway, we are different, but let's talk about a different topic for today, Austin. Talking about our New Year's resolutions-ish. We're going to have probably a bit of a rant on that because I hate New Year's resolutions.
I do too. Yeah.
And then watches. We're going to talk about just watches. Nothing special.
Yeah, we've been, recording for about year and a half?
Something like that. Probably.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about watches yet.
2020 would have been year 2 because we started in 2019, like middle of 2019. So this will be going on.
We did.
Because 2020, we were like in the middle of it, and then we kind of stopped because of all the stuff that happened, and then we got back into it in the end. But so let's tackle New Year's resolutions because in the midst of right now, it is the 5th day of January 2021, and people are setting goals. How do you feel about it?
They are. Well, and I specifically thought about goals, and to clarify to the listeners, like, we're talking about style goals and kind of what we're thinking about this year, but to not a small soapbox or anything, but 2020 really taught me a lot, and it was extremely difficult. I went through a lot of hard things, but I've learned so much through it, and so I'm really not doing anything different this year than I did last year. I'm just honing it in and trying to, just continue to be a better version of myself every single day.
That's awesome. I'm not that deep on my New Year's resolution.
Gonna try to lose weight. Gonna try to eat better. Gonna call my mom more. Oh yeah, you're really creative.
No. I am just going to coast this year. No, I'm just kidding. But that's pretty cool. I mean, what are some things that 2020 has taught you?
It definitely taught me to be more mobile and adaptive. When all of this stuff went down, I furloughed myself from the man shop to help Wally out. And, excuse me, I drove for Amazon full-time for about 2.5 months. And then I still stay with them part-time, but, I just didn't want to, I knew I didn't want to stay at Amazon. Like, they ended up offering me like a lead position. They're like, you should apply for it. Like, you'd be great at it. And I'm going, I just don't want to drive for Amazon. Like, I'm doing this to help out my business partner. And so, it really proved that I don't want to be anywhere else than I do right now, because if you're going to switch industries, now is the time to do it, or switch jobs or careers. And I knew just that the shop was the culture that I wanted to be a part of, and to bring in some new things, some new ideas, and getting even into, a little more personal, talking about like romantically and about my, as a single guy in 2020, the dating game has really changed. And it seems that, the rules have changed, but people don't know what the rules are, and they don't tell people either, which is odd. But, it's just, approaching, a young lady in a, kind, confident manner of just walking up, hey, how you doing? Start a conversation. That almost comes across as negative now. And so, I've noticed, there's been a couple people that I've talked to, and they go back to their ex, like, as soon as we start talking. And so I think I've noticed that a lot of, but I think one thing that I've noticed is that, and I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, here's how my life sucks. That's not it. But, what I'm noticing and what I'm seeing is that I think people put their value in how others are treating them, and that's how they, connect and associate their value. And so, their ex treated them in a crappy way, but they weren't alone. So that's how good they think they are worth. And so, it's very sad that I've met a lot of young women who had the same mindset. And there have been a couple too who are just upfront and honest with me and said, listen, I'm not feeling anything romantically. And I didn't, there are a couple situations I didn't feel it, and sometimes I did, but I appreciated the honesty. And some people just straight up ghosted me and just stopped talking. And so it's weird that that's a part of our culture, because if you don't want to talk to anybody anymore, you don't just get up and go. You don't just leave without saying anything. Like there's procedure to go through. So that's been kind of an interesting
now, why do you think
cultural observation.
Why do you think that has shifted because of 2020? Or do you think that's something that you just think you've started noticing in 2020?
I think it definitely enhanced in 2020, especially since so many people went, online, like to online dating and things like that, which, like I'm on some dating apps. And so I don't think anything's wrong with online dating, because it's a different platform. You kind of vet people a little bit easier than in person, because, you can have a video chat with them. You can actually talk with them before you meet them face to face, and it makes the first meeting less awkward. But it can also put people in a mindset that others are disposable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, well, I matched on this one, but I'll just swipe right on another person, and I'll just keep going. And I've done that too. I'm not saying I'm perfect in any means. That's not it. I do catch myself doing that. I'm going, these are young women who are looking for love. They're looking for somebody, and I wouldn't treat somebody as an object in real life. So why would I do that on a different platform? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you shouldn't really be treating it like it's any different than in person, even though it feels different, because on the other end,
exactly.
And I mean, I'm definitely not in that area of life, but I kind of
better not be. Otherwise, Olivia's going to be pissed.
She would be.
She would.
But I feel like it's very similar to like Facebook Marketplace, to where I'll find something I like, or someone will see something that I'm selling and reach out and be like, yo, is this available? Yeah, it is. Oh, when can we meet up? When can we do this? And then at the end, it's just like, you just like ghosted. It's like they lost interest. Yeah. They didn't feel like telling you, I'm not going to be meeting today. They don't feel like even just saying, hey, I found something else. Like it's just like automatic ghost, because you feel like you can, because it's over a screen. Like if you were standing in like face to face with somebody, it'd be a lot harder for them to be like, hey, yeah, bye, and just walk out, rather than being upfront with you and telling you why they're not interested anymore.
Exactly.
Which is kind of sad. And I guess it's
very sad.
It would prove to be more prevalent in 2020, because there's more people who are being shut-ins, who are feeling like, oh, it doesn't matter because I'm probably not going to see you in person for a long time, so I can kind of just act how I want.
Exactly.
But
I mean, it's been encouraging too, because I know that, I mean, these people don't know who I am, so there's no point for me to really put my value in them, because they don't know me. And so my value is not predicated on how they treat me. It just showed like, okay, this wasn't the person I was supposed to be with. Let's move on. And if there's an experience that happened through that connection, that you were able to learn more about yourself or the type of person that you're looking for, you actually ended up having a better time because of what you learned going into the next situation, to think about things a little bit differently.
Well, also not to mention the amount of, you kind of talk about vetting in the first place, it allows you to have, whereas much as it sucks in the moment, because why did you just ghost me? But it tells you a lot about who that person is, that otherwise they might have had a mask or a fake face up to just save face.
Absolutely.
Now you're like, this is the type of person that's okay with just ghosting me out of nowhere. They really don't value this as like a person-on-person relationship. This is them communicating through a screen. So you're probably not the type of person I wanted anyway.
Yeah.
Move along.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody values you, their actions are going to show that. You shouldn't have to second guess if someone cares about you or values you.
Yeah.
Their actions are going to show it. Like if they say, "Oh, you really mean a lot to me," but they're always flaking on you, they're always bailing on you. That's more of a telling practice than anything.
Yeah. It's like a friend who's always like, we need to hang out. And this is like the 8th time they've said it in like 4 years and you still haven't hung out yet. Like,
Exactly.
just don't
Exactly.
tell me you want to hang out. Like, I'm okay with not hanging out with you, but every time I see you, I don't need to be made to think that you want to hang out with me still. Like, we're done,
Yeah.
moving on.
So transitioning from the personal stuff into specifically style, I'm not going to say my goals, but I'm going to say focus, because goals sounds like if you don't make the goal, you've failed and you can set
Mm.
yourself up for failure. And so that's why I'm saying focus, because, if I get off track, I'll go, oh, let's refocus, let's get back in. And you're still on track and you're still winning. And so the biggest thing that I'm going to be focusing on this year is, a continued focus on quality, but there's a couple holes specifically in my wardrobe that I want to fill and address. And one thing I've actually been doing this last year was anytime I wear an item, tie, shirt, trouser, or suit, when I hang it up in my closet, the hook goes, forward over the hook. But what I do is I turn it around and face the backside, because I usually, show what I'm wearing, post it on Facebook or something like that, or Facebook or Instagram. And if you're not following me, follow me at Gentleman's Avenue. You can see my
Must follow.
pretty much, yeah, I pretty much post every single day. But anyway, it shows what I've worn. And then like with my shirts, I notice I've got a lot of beautiful shirts, but there's a lot that I haven't worn. And it's not that I don't like them. It's just I gravitate to specific ones consistently over and over. And so, it's pushing me to go like, okay, well, I want to wear this again, but I've already worn it, this month or this year. Let's try to push yourself and see, okay, I've worn that shirt, but I haven't worn it with this tie. Let's put that together.
Mm.
So, and then when it comes to clothes, really, I mean, obviously I don't need anything, but the next commissions are, I'm going to need a navy blazer. So I'm getting that in. I'm going to need a gray herringbone 3-piece, because I don't have just a solid gray, just a basic, but like my version of a basic that still has some texture, just a flat, regular worsted. I just want something that has some visual intrigue. So kind of focus on that, really hone in, and I'm pretty good. But then after that, I want to experiment with just a little bit more color. I think I said that even last year, but I'm just going to do the same thing this year.
Hey, that's why it's a focus. It's not so much a goal, which
Focus.
another thing that I think going off of focus instead of goal that's important is because clothing is, at least in my opinion, it doesn't really go too well with goals unless your goal is super broad and it's, I want to dress better or I want to dress more effectively. Those can
It does sound too broad or too general.
But when you're talking about like specific style related things you want to achieve, I feel like if you set a goal for it and then like in 3 months, you feel like, you know what, that's not really what I want to go after anymore. Then you feel like you said, you failed at your goal. But really what happened is you just didn't feel like that goal was where you wanted to be. So like if it was for me, my goal this year is to only wear a suit every day, all the time. And then in like 2 weeks, I'm like, this is a little bit too much. I really don't want to live this kind of lifestyle. Then I just failed at my goal instead of shifting my focus or shifting the habits or this one guy used a good word, processes. He's like, instead of New Year's resolutions, let's do New Year's, he didn't say processes. He said something else, routines or something like that. And it's like, it's just a cool different mindset because once you reach a goal, yeah, you can set another one, but it feels like it's like the ending, like you've reached something. Where personally, I like to have the mindset of like, I'm always trying to achieve something else. But
yeah, just real quick, you'd said, a suit every single day. What was interesting is that this year, because, everything had been lockdown, shut down, whatever, I found myself, I think I only like to work. I only I didn't wear a tie maybe 4 or 5 times total. And I think it was actually maybe closer to 3. Like, I don't consider like a roll neck, like a turtleneck. I don't consider that one of those times, but literally just wearing a shirt with no tie. I don't like that look, honestly. I mean,
You're saying
Wally
in
and Mark, like,
2020?
yeah, in 2020, I didn't do that.
I
Like,
was
I
gonna say
wore a
5 times
tie.
would be every day in 2021, but you're talking
Yeah, no,
2020.
like last year, like I said, I think I only didn't wear a tie, maybe 4 or 5 times when I went to work. And a tie can just bring so much into your wardrobe, and it's an extra form of expression. But I mean, the tie is so interesting because we don't need neckties, but
No,
you
we don't.
need neckties. And so with the outfit I'm wearing today, this is a new suit that I just got in, which is, I'm super excited about it. But if I didn't wear a tie with this, I would feel like something's missing, because I'm wearing this kind of butter yellow Oxford button-down collar shirt with a green pocket square, and it's a brown herringbone tweed suit. And if I wasn't wearing this beautiful vintage paisley tie, this deep red burgundy tie, it would feel like something's different, because the yellow and then the brown are neutrals. It comes across as too blah. Like the red helps break it up
You're
along
like
with the
Dwight
green.
from The Office.
Okay, he wears his mustard shirts. This is butter yellow.
Oh,
Okay,
butter yellow.
it's more savory. Mustard, that's just mustard. Who
And it
likes
was
that?
short sleeve.
I actually do like mustard. It was short sleeve shirts with a tie. I mean, seriously, no.
It's a look. Not
It's
a good
look
look.
that's not good.
Yeah.
There you go. It is a look.
But no, that's pretty cool. I mean, I think that would be something cool to be able to say that I've wore a tie that much. I just need to honestly just up my tie game. A lot of my ties are either like super old ones that aren't like, they're not like outdated, but they're like that weird like 2010 outdated, to where it's like,
Yeah.
that was cool when I was younger.
Skinny and bright. And yeah.
So it's like, I've got some cool like I like this tie, I don't mind it, but the problem with this one is I think this is it might be a silk tie, which is weird, but like it's super deformed when I go to tie it. So the knots like either really tiny, or like there's no like real bump in the tie anymore. It just kind of like lays flat and the knot looks two-dimensional.
Oh, so it's not like a really thick inner lining.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of my
Yeah.
ties are that way, to when they just tie sloppy knots nowadays.
Yeah.
So I hate putting them on. So I really got to update just the tie collection to begin with. But tie only.
I've got a couple ties I might be setting free sometime soon. So if I'm going to set them free, I'll send them your way.
Appreciate that. Let them fly north for the summer.
Forever.
For me this year, not like anyone asked, but
Lewis, what are your resolutions?
Oh,
See,
thanks.
someone asked.
Thanks, Austin.
That's what I'm here for, buddy.
I also am not setting goals now, but I do really want to make a huge shift in this year to really focus on like sustainable fashion. And that's been something we've talked about quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's something that I've always really found interesting, but I kind of just like said it, and then I would still find a sweater I liked at H&M and buy it because it was $15. But I really
you had to mention that brand.
I know, and I say that because I literally just bought a turtleneck cable knit brown sweater from them for like $18 because it was on sale. But it was really nice.
Have you ever heard of eBay?
Yes.
Dude, eBay.
Yeah,
like,
but it was right in front of me. I was walking past and I was like, oh.
You helped contribute to the progress of fast fashion, sir. You are the problem. You are the issue.
But that was 2020. That's why I said this is 2021 goals.
You said you bought that the other day.
The other day, as in like a week. It was like in December of 2020. So it was like
okay. Well, when I hear the other day, I hear like a couple days ago.
I mean, a couple days ago was 2020.
Okay, you can leave it in 2020. You've got your receipt. Just go return it.
Yeah, I'll just burn it right now. Well, now if
It's
I
what
got
it's
rid of
worth.
it, that would be contributing to the fast fat. I plan on using this for many, many years to come.
Just keep breaking the ozone layer, you terrible
Um,
man.
no, but I really do want to either, and I'm not saying like every company I buy from is going to be like ethically sourced, renewable energy, recycled materials. But it's going to be very much, if I'm buying it, this is a long-term item in my wardrobe. This isn't going to be
Yeah.
something I flip unless I want to try and sell it, or if I want to donate it to someone who could use it. Um, I want it to be something that I'm not just going to buy because it was cheap and it kind of looked cool. I really want some quality, well-made pieces that, and for as best I can, if it's made ethically and with renewable resources and recycled, I'll buy it even more so. But um, that's a real big shift for me, because also from a business point of view, that's very heavily what I want to try and dedicate a lot of my tailoring and my custom work, is I want a lot of
Yeah.
that to be sustainable and stuff. So if I'm buying H&M and then saying, come buy my clothes, they're sustainable, it's kind of like you're kind of contradicting yourself there.
Yeah, you're not really living the lifestyle, you're just talking it. So
Exactly.
really, like, if you like Zara, H&M, Nike, and I think Adidas too. I mean, they still have their stuff made in sweatshops and stuff like that. So I mean, those are the big guys, but there are a lot of people out there. I mean, if you just spend a couple more bucks on your stuff, one, you're going to get a better quality, and two, you're not going to contribute to that crap.
Yeah. Um, and again, I mean, and if you talk about every facet of what I wear, there's a lot of areas where I cut it mercilessly. So like when it comes to workout clothes, when it comes to hiking gear, like typically I'm not looking for the nicest, best quality I'm just buying something because I'm going to beat the crap out of it and I want it to last for a little while, but be able to be
Yeah,
replaced quickly. But mostly what I'm
absolutely.
talking about is my formal, everyday kind of dressy wear,
Yeah, totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
which is also
This
why
year,
I'm doing a lot of thrifting too, because that's a ton of fun
yeah,
and you get to repurpose clothes.
yeah, I'm trying to do a similar thing as well, because I really only get well, with our private label, we've got a handmade option, and so I really only do handmade just because it just feels 10 times better. I mean, it just feels amazing. And so I try to do, like I said, handmade as much as possible. And because it's more expensive, it causes me to think a little bit longer and think like, oh, that's a cool piece, but
Mm,
am I going to wear it outside of 4 or 5 times? Like, if I can see myself wearing this thing once a week, once every other week, or at least monthly, that's still 12 times a year, and you're still getting some good wear out of it.
yeah, exactly. I want to, and I actually probably should do this in the next couple weeks. I really want to purge my wardrobe of either things that are too small for me now because I'm fat, as well as things that I just
You're not
haven't
fat. You've
worn.
just gained your COVID-19.
Like COVID-19. I love it. But there's just things that like I haven't worn all year and it's still
Yeah.
sitting in my closet. And I'm like, I don't plan on wearing it. I know I don't want it anymore, but why am I holding on to it? Because for me, it's like, well, maybe one day I'll either lose the weight or maybe one day I'll want to wear it. And it's like, no, just give it away to somebody. Maybe they can
Yeah,
use it and make room for me to be able to buy something else. Um,
exactly.
so
And
maybe
it
that's something I'll do
showcases
this
those
year.
holes that you have in your wardrobe too, of going like, you're getting something out that you don't need and it's just clutter, and it's showing you what you do need. And maybe like you didn't need that thing in the first place, so it just opened up room and you've
Yeah,
already added a benefit.
yeah, exactly. And especially with what I want to do business wise, it's going to be super helpful because I want a very like lean and effective wardrobe for like everyday wear, but that doesn't really like lend itself to really good Instagram content and other kind of stuff because you're wearing the same stuff over and over again. Um, so I want to be able to
Yeah.
buy things to resell, like whether it's through thrifting, so that I can take those things and I can like interject them in my wardrobe for like 2 weeks and then be like, here,
Yeah.
I'm reselling it. I bought this suit jacket, wore it for like 2 weeks. Now I'm selling it. Bought these pants, wore them for 2 weeks. Now I'm selling them. So that way I can have my core of everything I can go to. But if I want to intermix things, I buy them used or secondhand off eBay, thrift stores, and then I reuse them, repurpose them, and ship them out to somebody else.
One thing I thought was really, really interesting. Oh my gosh, I just lost it. I guess it wasn't important. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I interrupted you. I didn't have anything else to say.
Really,
I know. It's terrible.
Well, anybody listening, if I don't know where you're listening this on, but let us know what some of your 2021 goals are, because I love just hearing what other people find important with their clothing choices. Like for like hearing what you were saying about like updating.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, well, this is where that person's at or where this person's at. Some people might be like, well,
Yeah.
I just want to I want to buy my first suit this year. Which if you don't own a suit yet, you should be.
If you're closer to Lewis, go to him. If you're closer to me, I'm in Texas. Come find me. We'll get you set up. Oh, I did remember what
online
it was.
option, so you can always go to me. What's up?
We've already got online options, so suck it. Anyway, I was listening to another cool podcast, which is weird. Okay, I'm gonna pause real quick.
Don't say it. Don't say the podcast.
I'm not saying that one. It's a different one.
Okay.
I found a different one.
Okay,
so it's not the same one. It wouldn't be a regular episode without us. But anyway, there's another episode that I found. The name is Dapper Villains, and we're actually trying to Dapper Villains.
Oh, that's
cool. They're cool guys. They've had all different types of people on their podcast, but Angel Ramos of 18 Amendment was on there. And if you don't know Angel Ramos, used to have Angel Ramos Bespoke. I think he was in New York, and then he went down to Miami for a while, and then he's back in New York now. He's got a really cool brand, so definitely go check him out. But one thing that Angel had mentioned in the Dapper Villains podcast episode that he was in is, especially now with like COVID and, guys haven't really dressed up. Like I've talked to some guys and they're going, man, I haven't worn a suit since March. Like, how can you sell me a suit? And it totally makes sense. But one thing that he did is, I think it was last year, he bought this jacket and everyone's like, oh, that's great for you because yada, 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 yada. As in, you're a stylish guy. There's this, and the other. They were making excuses. And so what he did is he took that and he ran with it. And so there was this jacket. It was kind of like this white, red, it had some gold in it too, like a flanneled cream tartan. It was a really, really cool jacket. And he wore it with like a cream polo, jeans, and some Stubbs and Wooten loafers. And then, he wore it like jacket, shirt, tie, trousers, the whole deal. And then I think he even wore it as like a cocktail dinner jacket type of thing. Like he wore it with evening clothes as well. But he wears that thing a lot. And the reason he did that is he was like, if any of his clients or friends or anybody was following his social media, they saw how he was incorporating that into his everyday life, which I thought was really cool because you're showing the versatility of it. So for example, this suit that I'm wearing today, this was actually a bolt of vintage fabric I found on eBay, sent it to our maker, and then it just came back literally yesterday. So today's the 5th. So it came in the 4th. And it's such a cool garment because it's a spot like camisha shoulder, completely unlined or completely unstructured in the shoulders. It is a full canvas, triple patch pocket, wide peak lapel. But I thought, oh, well, this is cool. But guys in Texas are going to look at that like, oh, that's hot. Well, yeah, it's a little hot, but it's a little warmer of a garment for our climate. And so like, I'm going to wear the trousers with like a polo or a sweater by itself and some loafers. It's a cool look. And then take the jacket, wear it with, my denim shirt, jeans or chinos, and then with my cowboy boots or something like that. But be able to break it up and show people a garment that they didn't think was possible to break up, but show it different ways that people can see how they can incorporate it into their life. Yeah. I mean, does that make sense? Like you're showcasing how it's a lifestyle. It's not you're buying an outfit that you can only wear one time and then wait a couple months and then wear the same thing again. You're wearing pieces that you can blend into your wardrobe, into your ensembles.
Yeah, which originally on one of our other podcasts, which hasn't been posted yet, so you guys won't get this reference, but Austine originally had said not to break up your suits. You remember that?
That was a pre-COVID episode.
No, it wasn't. It was
Okay.
heart of COVID. Don't try and make
Disclaimer.
excuses.
Okay, disclaimer. If you go back to the episode, I'm fairly certain that I say I don't recommend that you break up your suits. But in the world of COVID, now that people are dressing up less than they were required to do in the first place, pre-COVID, you can break up your suit, but just don't do that on a regular basis. Okay, I just need to make that disclaimer. So don't come at me like that. Okay, you just took a bullet point, you just took a buzzword, and you wanted to throw me under the bus. Okay, and
well, because I felt
happened,
I felt a man on an island during that podcast because I was like, I break my stuff up all the time, and you're like, I wouldn't if I were you, and I was like, well, how are you supposed to break it up? How are you supposed to look cool and trendy on any given day? And you're like, you don't. You only wear suits every day of your life.
Number one, you're not trying to look trendy anyway. You're trying to look stylish and have taste and have class. Okay. The thoughts of Louis Jeremiah do not represent the whole heart and mind. Anyway,
do not represent the
if you've only got one suit and you're wearing that thing all the time and you're breaking it up, you're gonna kill your suit real quick.
Yeah.
For me, I've got I think 15, 20 jackets and then 12 suits. So I can break up my suits because it's fine. I'm probably not going to wear it. Well, I'm going to wear it Monday to do some social media stuff for the shop, but I'm probably not going to wear it again for week and a half, 2 weeks or something like that. But because I don't wear it a lot, I'm not constantly
and plus for you, come summer, you're probably going to put that away for a little while.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to be wearing that in the middle of Texas heat.
No, I could wear this probably until March, possibly April. Not the pants. I think the pants are going to be too warm. The jacket, I could break up because it's a Bemberg lining, and this is still a 9 ounce, tweed. It's a wool cashmere blend, but still, in Texas, we don't really need it. But I've always wanted a brown herringbone tweed suit. I finally got it. I'm so excited.
Looks baller.
Thanks, man.
Well, cool. Should we move on to watches? Or do you want to keep on 2021?
Well, if there's anything else you want to talk about. As per usual, I continue to yap more than you talk, and so I do apologize. So if you want to say something else, go ahead. I do. I'm much better than you are.
He is, everybody. If you haven't heard or haven't noticed it yet, you're under a rock. But
wow. Just make fun of our listeners, why don't you?
I'm just saying, if they don't already know the truth, they better get on it. But for me, other than style stuff, a lot of business stuff, hopefully coming this year, will be really cool to roll out. And hopefully meaning a lot of my clothing will shift to more of a custom feel rather than off the rack. I would like to make that shift, especially if I'm selling it more. I want to be able to say that I own a lot of it. So that's just kind of
also, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to interject and say we got Lewis into wider lapels. He's getting out of skinny lapels. We're all happy. Let's give him a round of applause. Why don't we? Yay. Tiny little round of applause. Okay, sorry.
Thank you. That felt great.
Bro, come on. You got to tell me that you do like wider lapels now, right?
Plus,
see, they're so great.
Plus, it helps because when you thrift, just changed my whole lighting. When you thrift, literally everything is wide lapels because it's vintage. So it's kind of one of those things that you either learn to like it or you don't shop thrifted clothes.
You're either going to learn to like it or you're not going to buy vintage. That's really
exactly.
Unless you're buying Rat Pack, Ivy, really the skinny lapel stuff. But that's pretty hard to find.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I mean, there was a part of me that always liked wider lapels. I thought it looked cool, but my problem was I didn't care enough when I bought my clothes. So I would buy it at our shop, and our shop was very much a thinner, slimmer lapel because that's what our area liked. So instead of rocking the boat and trying to ask for different options and I wasn't doing anything remotely custom then, it was just kind of let me just buy what I can. And I kind of just learned to like it that way. But now that I've been enlightened, it's one of those things that's a non-negotiable. And I don't mean wide as in 4 inches for everybody. I do think that it needs to be proportional to your body. If you are a slender, slim man. Don't be getting super wide lapels, but get something a little bit thicker than you might think, because it will look good, but it's got to be a very good balance for yourself. So for me, what might be a wide lapel for some people might be a skinny lapel.
Yeah.
But yeah, wide lapels, mwah, primo.
Shit's a keys.
But yeah, so that's kind of another thing for 2020 is hopefully be rolling out the custom, hopefully be rolling out the tailor shop in a fuller, more ongoing capacity, which would then also alter how I dress, things I gear myself towards. But and then hopefully maybe even making my own clothing, which would be also very cool.
Dude, that would be awesome.
But stay tuned for that.
I'll have you make me a shirt sometime.
Sometime.
That'd be cool. Sometime. Just depends on how
maybe
good your stuff is.
Yeah, you'll have to get a sample, see if you like it. I'll just order it from Stamped from you and tell you I made it. Swap out the labels.
Okay, I was about to say, it's going to be pretty telling when it comes in and it says Stant, and you're like, I made you a shirt.
Oh, that's my label, too. I didn't know that we had contradicting names.
Stant, it's short for Louis Jeremita.
My initials, Stamped, Louis Anthony Jeremita. Duh.
Nailed it. First try.
So, but yeah. So let's talk watches because I'm sick of 2021 already. I'm ready for 2022.
Well, that, and again, we've had this podcast for 2.5 years, and we haven't even talked about watches because I think watches are, there's that, but watches are also, it's kind of like a necktie. Well, especially now in 2020, people don't even really need watches. They've got either their Apple Watch or your phone, or there's a clock somewhere. So there's not necessarily a need as much anymore. But what watches have become is very similar to how a man presents himself when it comes to clothing. It's a statement of who you are. It's a form of expression. It's a very small form of expression, but the right people will notice. Like shoes and watches, I think that's more of a telling, I think that's more telling of who you are as a person than your overall ensemble, because it's the small details, I think, that matter the most.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that watches have that they'll always have, I don't care who you are, but it's also a status symbol for so many people. Like, you don't need a watch. There is not, unless you have a smartwatch, there is no function.
Which I hate, and they look so ugly, by the way.
Yes, I agree. Unless you're working out and doing something sporty or active, that's the only time I think they really look good.
Yeah, you're right. That's literally the only time.
The only time. Not even other times. But when you're wearing a watch, there is no need for it. I mean, yes, there is, because maybe you don't carry a cell phone because you live somewhere that doesn't have a cell phone. But even then, you probably know someone who has a cell phone.
Tower, yeah.
But it's like you get it because it's interesting. Or you get it because you just like the way it looks. So it's something that's also kind of unique in that aspect, because once you get into, and I'm not talking about your cheap ones, which I have some cheap ones here, fashion watches, you just wear them to complete a look. But like once you really understand like what's cool about a watch, like what was put into a watch, what kind of like mechanics, materials, different ways that they source it, that's when it becomes like really an interesting thing that you really don't find anywhere else in menswear. Like,
yeah, especially when you get to that super high end level, it's the sake of complication for complication's sake.
Yeah. And we don't see that in anything else in menswear.
No, like it's ridiculous. Like there was one guy, I think he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. I showed you the video when I came up for your wedding. But this guy said, like, there are watches, if you put it in a car form, it's essentially like an engine that goes out into 4 transmissions to come back to make the car one-wheel drive. Like he obviously defines it better, but
yeah,
it's
so
a talking
unnecessary.
point. It's almost like a buzzword. It can get kind of crazy. Like for me, I pulled out my watch collection, and I can so I can look at it. And so, for example, like I like tank watches and automatic watches. I don't like quartz watches. I have one quartz watch that it was the first watch I ever got for my high school graduation. It was a Fossil watch, chronograph. It's the case is silver, and the face is kind of like this cream ivory color, and you can change out the band black or brown. And so it was just really classic. I think it's about 42 millimeters wide. So it's a wider watch than I like, but it reminds me, and that's what watches are great for, because they are like moment pieces. Like they remind you of something. And so with that watch, it reminded me of my high school graduation. I mean, that was kind of one of my first steps into manhood of, I was going to go to college and start, taking steps into adulthood. And this was like a little gift as a memoir. And then it just kind of grew on from there. And I love small tank watches like this. They're just, they're beautiful. My Grail watch is a Cartier Tank Solo, or a GG Le Coutier, I think, but it's the Reverso. And the Reverso is actually, it came from polo players. And they would have a small watch like this, and the face could actually turn around, and the case back would cover on the outside. So it was protection, but it was also function for that specific sport. Now, I never played polo. I've ridden a horse like 4 times in my life, and that's weird for a Texan to say, but I've only ridden a horse like 4 times in my life. So I don't really need that. I just thought it looked cool. Specifically, why I like the Cartier Solo is the Cartier Tank Solo is that it's the history that goes along with it. And there's an artist, and I can't remember his name right now, but he wore one until it died, until the battery died. And someone said, well, why don't you change the battery in your watch? He goes, you don't wear this watch to tell time. You wear it because you're wearing art, essentially. And that's the inspiration that I took, because with any of my clothes, that's why I get them handmade, because it's wearable art. And with automatic watches, the reason I really only do automatic, well, all of my tank watches are quartz, but they don't have, a second hand. But with any other one that I have, I like automatic because of really the visual aesthetic of the second hand, just consistently moving, almost sweeping, and in a circular motion. Like quartz, you're just tick, tick, tick. Like automatic, there's just something smooth. There's just a smoothness about it. And to me, it's really relaxing just to watch the second hand just slowly move around in a circle.
Austin just sits in his room watching his watch hand go around in circles.
I told you never, ever, ever to tell people about that.
Well, I thought that's why we were talking about watches today.
That was supposed to stay between us.
My bad. Hey, guys. Just don't listen to that part. That was a mistake. I'm sorry.
We'll edit that out.
So let's walk through some of your watches that you have. Want to show off some of them, explain kind of why you got them, why you still have them.
Yeah.
Then I'll go through mine, and then we'll talk about some like dream buys.
I think my first, I first dipped my toe into tank watches with these two right here. And so there's one, it's got a burgundy croc. It's an imitation croc, but it's this burgundy croc band. It's got white face, beautiful. This is by far my favorite watch right here. And so very, very beautiful, very elegant. I'd even wear this with just a regular black tuxedo, because the gold and the red just kind of gives a really cool, elegant pop. And this is very similar to the Cartier Tank Solo. And I'm not wearing this to make it look like I'm wearing a Cartier. I just love tank, and that's all I can afford right now. And then there was this one that was really, really cool. It's more of a cream face. It's not white. It's a little softer. And then it's got this wider, flatter face. And then it's also got the date here at the 6 o'clock point. If you guys are listening, you can't really see, so go check out our YouTube. But I've posted about
maybe
this
we'll
before.
even, if you want to take pictures, maybe we'll post a post on our Instagram too of our watch.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, I could do that. But this is kind of a tan ostrich band. And so I thought the ostrich was cool just because it was so different. And I've never had an ostrich band on my watches before. And so after having those two, and that was kind of, me dipping into the tank style watches, I realized I needed my basics, my black Oxford, my brown Oxford when it comes to the tank watches. So I got another one. This is a completely different face. The numbers are different. They're not the numeric style, but they are. It's almost. It looks like a hand written number. They're really really cool. And it's just a black croc band. And then I got a brown one, just a dark chocolate brown, very similar face style. But this one I did a chocolate brown ostrich. So it's kind of hard to see in the lighting, but just something classic and really nice.
Yeah.
I love Seiko. I love the aesthetic of Seiko. Like there are a couple other like sportier round faced watches that I've got my eye on right now. They've actually got one that's it's very similar to the Rolex GMT, what's also known as the Pepsi GMT. And so it's basically their take on it, which I just think is cool. I think Seiko is good quality for the price. And I'm kind of a novice when it comes to watches. I understand the basics of them, but when it comes to like, oh, do you like this kind of automatic movement or this? And I'm like, if it tells time and it's pretty, I like it. But there was another one. This is very similar to almost like the Tank Americain of Cartier, but this is a full stainless steel band.
Wow.
So I thought this is really, really elegant. It's also got the date here at the 6 o'clock movement, Roman numerals, white face, plain, simple. You can even wear this with a tuxedo and dress it down. So it's definitely more of an elegant dressier watch, which, I thought would be a great addition. But my last two, which are not rectangular, these are actually round faces. This is again, a Seiko automatic, but it's a two-tone bracelet. And then it's also got the date at the 3 o'clock point. And so
gotcha.
I like gold. I don't, outside of, this stainless steel, the solid stainless steel one that I have, I tend to like either gold or two-tone. I just like the warmth that gold brings in. And so at first I hated two-tone for the longest time, but after a while I really liked it. And I liked the versatility of how you could pair it with really any metal, because I've got a purity ring that I wear on my left hand. People think I'm married, but when I wear this watch with it, it doesn't look like it's clashing. It blends really well, and it just makes the gold pop a little bit more. And the very last one, I was actually wearing it today with this look. It's got a Horween leather watch band. And again, it's got like the day just on the day date on the 3 o'clock spot. But this is the Seiko Automatic DX25. And so if you notice, the case is a little more oval. It's not as square or round. It's got a little bit of, oval shape to it. This watch actually comes from, I think, early mid 70s. And early this year, I was really inspired by the 1970s and a lot of the gangster movies that Robert De Niro was in, like silk shirts and full cut, wide peak lapels and rope shoulders, just the extravagance of it. And I love that definitely in the watches as well. So kind of like 70s, 80s. That's why I like this watch, because the two-tone. But then I like this band because with this ensemble I'm wearing today, with, the Oxford cloth button-down shirt, with a really soft roll, and then the tweed suit, I thought the Horween band, the Horween leather, would be really, really cool and blend along with it. So I wanted a wide variety. I usually like leather bands, but again, I'm mixing them out so much because if you're wearing the same leather band over and over, it's going to get real stinky and it's not going to be good. But I wanted a good variety. So the next one that I'm looking to add, again, it's going to be Seiko. Like I said, I just like Seiko. I've never liked Citizen. There are a lot of other brands that I've looked at, and I just find myself gravitating to Seiko's. And any watch guy I've talked to, they say, if you like it, wear it. Who cares what it looks like? Who cares really what the brand is? Like, if you like it, wear it. So The
I'm
next
in the
watch
same
I'm
boat.
prob
I'll wear literally anything from a Timex to, which actually Timex makes some really sick watches. But
they
anything from
do.
like a cheap Timex all the way up to if I ever get a Rolex, I'd wear it. Like again, I don't
Exactly.
it like you said, if it does its job and tells time and it looks cool to you, who cares?
There have been times I've even worn a watch that it's been dead for like a couple months, and I just wanted to wear it because it went with my outfit, and I didn't even check my wrist for the time all day. Like I checked my phone anyway, but it's the feeling of wearing a watch. So
Yeah.
I mean, really, my next one would be like similar to this style, but like a gold case, gold bracelet, but then like just a plain simple, just like basically a cream face with gold indicators, but not like a gaudy, like really yellow kind of gold, like a softer, deeper one, you know?
Yeah.
I
There's
just love gold.
there's two I forgot what I was gonna say. There was two something. Whatever. It'll come to me later. Um, yeah, you do have a lot of gold in your
Yeah,
watches. You like
I really do.
the gold aesthetic. I hated gold for the longest time. I
Honestly, I did too.
I don't know why, especially after like really diving in and finding out I'm a warmer toned person. So gold looks way better on me than a silver does. Um,
Yeah.
especially when I started off with clothing in general. I really liked cold, clean, almost like that sterile look that like an outfit can bring.
Yeah.
Um,
Very, very modern and crisp and clean,
yeah,
which is a great look. I mean, it's a great aesthetic. It's
it's
just not one that I gravitate towards.
it's an awesome aesthetic, but again, my problem was is it didn't look good on me because my skin tone and my hair and my eyes, they don't lend well to really cold, dark colors. It washes me out real quick.
Absolutely.
Looks
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
So as I've been like progressing, which is another thing for 2021, is like really getting into those neutral earthy tones to kind of make me look more as I should rather than like really
Yeah.
pale. Um, but that's why a lot of my stuff is starting to get more into like the golds, the rose golds, the browns, the tans, the beiges.
Yeah.
Um,
I did see one guy with a AP Royal Oak in rose gold, and it
mm,
was really, really cool. If you know anything about the Royal Oak, it's one of the most sought after watches right now. It's definitely kind of like with the Daytona and the Pepsi and the Hulk. Like those are ones that are like really high on people's priority list. And I saw one in rose gold, and I called it out to the customer. I'm like, hey, is that a Royal Oak? He goes, yeah. And he instantly pulls it off and hands it to me. He's like, you gonna hold it? And I'm going, oh my gosh. And you could just feel the quality and the different, because I mean, that's easily, I think, a 30, almost $60,000 watch. It's crazy. And then I've got a guy, he had like a Rolex deep sea expedition. I mean, it was like crazy, but you can just feel the difference. And so for me, that's why like holding a Seiko compared to a Fossil, like you can even feel the differences there. But when you're holding those top of the line, those big boys who are on the Mount Everest or the Mount Rushmore of, you know, of horology, you can feel and experience the difference.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Um, now, as I grow more and more, and I'm trying to find this other watch because I came into this so prepared. Um, as I learn more and more about watches, it really actually has slowed me down from buying watches, which in most people's cases speed them up because, like, personally, I can't just blow like $1,000 on a watch that I think is really cool.
Yeah,
Um, but I also want to be able to save up for those watches rather than just buy
absolutely.
cool
Same
cheap
here. Yeah.
ones. Um, now, do you actually? I had a question for you. Do you buy a lot of your watches secondhand, or are those all new ones that you just purchase from the company straight out?
I've actually never bought a watch just straight out in that full retail. One, for a couple reasons. One, it's not because I'm cheap. Like I could save up and get, a watch for $500 to $1,000. But right now, since I'm trying to study and understand watches better, I want to take the time and do my due diligence and experiment with secondhand watches and see what style I like. And it's kind of like how I started in style. Like I tried trendy stuff, I tried really classic stuff, and then I just kind of honed it in over time. And the same thing that I'm doing right now with watches, I'm trying to hone in my style, my aesthetic, what I like, what I don't like. So when I'm ready to finally pull the trigger on, a full retail watch, I've done my diligence. But what I do like about secondhand watches is that it's like if the watch can tell a story of, if you think about the last owner, like what was their life like? What did he see every single day? What was his style? How did he express himself? What kind of band did he wear it with? And so that's what I think is cool about watches and secondhand and vintage clothing. Like for example, like this vintage tie I'm wearing, like what was the story behind it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, like with this suit and with the shirt that I'm wearing, like that's me. Like I bought it for me specifically. But like with watches, that's something, it's kind of interesting. And, if there's a monogram on it, like it was somebody else's story, but I do want to get a watch that's just brand spanking new, because when you see the bumps and the chips and everything, you knew that was you because you wore it. But when it came to you like that, you're going, well, what caused that to happen? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It kind of leads you to wonder. I actually was thinking the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Olivia and I, we made the tree skirt for our tree. And what she did was she went and she bought a whole bunch of like polo shirts and we chopped them up and made it. And I was like thinking, that whoever donated those shirts, their clothing is going to live on forever under our tree. And it's like weird. Like who was like, is that a dead person's clothing that we now like sprawl out every Christmas under our tree? Or like who was that? And it's like same thing with
do they live in Serbia right now, or do they live a mile away from me, or what's their life like?
Yeah, maybe I actually knew that. Like it's just 3 polo shirts, red, green, and like beige. Like it could have been anybody. So it's the same with watches, and it's the same with like when I buy used suits. It's like who wore this, why'd they wear it, and they were obviously my size, so we must have been pretty similar in like look and like what was their life like. But no, I haven't bought any used watches yet. Just because whenever I saw the watch, it was usually like walking through a watch store with somebody and I was like, I really want that. And then I would get it. But as I get more and more into it, and when I show you my small collection, you'll kind of like see where that switch happened for me. But every time I get a watch now, I want it to be connected with, like you were saying, like an event or a special time in my life, because I don't want to just I don't want to just have a watch and be like, oh yeah, I just bought that because I liked it. Like I bought that because I liked it, but it was also this time in my life. It was also this or that.
Absolutely.
Something that I think would be really cool is to buy a really nice watch every time I have a kid. And then when they turn 18, give them the watch as a gift.
Oh, that's so cool, Louis.
So that way it's like, I bought this when you were born. Here it is. And it has to be a nice one because I don't want it to break on them in like a few years, or it already be broken by the time I give it to them. But
it's really cool.
So to start them off, I'll start with the first one that I ever got. And this one actually was given to me by my brother, and there's only one real reason I keep it. And it's like weird because like the band never laid flat. I don't know if that's because it's like, I don't know if it's fake. No, it's real leather, but like it never laid flat like my normal watches. But this is from a company called Ben and Sons. He bought this for me on Amazon, and I actually kind of really like it. It's just an all blacked out matte watch. Doesn't work. Battery's been dead. I haven't used it really. I haven't like put in batteries in it for probably about like 4 years. But the only reason I keep it is because it's my only black watch, and every time I wear a black suit, I put this on, even though it doesn't work because again, it looks the part. But
cool.
Again, that was like also my first real like watch that had some quality to it. Everything else, like the leather started smelling weird after like a couple weeks, and the clock, like it just like ticked weird, and the front glass came apart. And then a lot of them were like this Timex watch that I have. Now I bought this Timex watch because I really liked the black one. And I was like, hey, I want to have a watch that I can wear more every day. So I bought this, again, a cheap Amazon. This is Timex. They're Indiglo. Oh yeah, because it like lights up. Look how fancy that is. Choo choo. You probably can't even see it. Choo choo.
Oh, there you go.
But this was like $30. Again, it was just basic brown and gold. And I actually only started wearing it recently because I lost one of my watches. And then I was like, crap, I don't have a watch. Which actually is this one, which was the first like nice watch I ever bought.
Is that your Bulova?
Yeah, this is the Bulova, and this one, Olivia, the first one. This is the second one because I lost the first one. Bought it as a wedding watch, so I wanted to wear this watch on my wedding because even though it's not, I like it because it's not automatic because it's such a low case. And on my wrist, I have like really small wrists for some reason. I have like pretty big hands, but small wrists. So big watches look really bad on my wrist. So I was shopping with a buddy of mine and we were just trying on watches, and we were actually in Macy's when I first saw this style. I think it's their American Clipper is what it's called. And I put it on and it just fit perfectly. It's really cool because the shirt sleeve can hide it when I'm wearing a shirt, so it's not like super bulky.
Yeah, that's great.
Holding up my sleeve. But it's super cool because it's got like the Roman numerals. It's got the date on it. I don't know. I guess that would be like an alligator skin leather strap.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just really liked it. It was super clean, and plus it's rose gold. I don't know if you can see that through the lighting or not. Which
it definitely adds something different. Yeah, it does definitely add something a little different to the watch because, it's usually silver or gold or something like that. But the rose gold adds something different to it, which I think is cool. And I definitely admire. It's just not something that resonates with me. And so, like, for example, if I were going to buy, that AP Royal Oak, I would either get it in a silver or a gold. I never would have thought of rose gold, but it's so different. And I think that's what made it interesting to me. Like, it's still beautiful, even though it doesn't speak to you.
Yeah, and it's one of the things actually I really didn't like. When we were picking out our wedding bands and stuff, she was set. She was like, I want rose gold. And I was like, I kind of want to match, but like, I thought it was like super girly. And I was like, I'm not wearing rose gold. So I was going to go with a gold until I went in and I threw it on. And I was like, this is actually like super cool because it's almost like a skin color. I mean, if you're a white guy. It's like a skin colored watch. So it kind of like blends with my hand, but it like reflects. So it's like, I get so many like people making comments either on my ring or my watch. They're like, is that rose gold? That's so cool. I never thought about getting rose gold. So, and that's also here. I'll just show all the watches that I actually wear, which is I like about them because you have a gold, I have my silver, and then I have a rose gold. So really no matter what outfit I'm wearing, I have a watch metal that kind of matches with it, which brings me
Show me that middle one again.
Yeah, this is the last watch that I just recently got.
Oh, okay.
This is a Citizen Eco Drive. And again, one of my friends had this exact watch, and I loved it for just like the utilitarian look of it. Whenever I go
hiking, it's like a field watch style.
Yeah, whenever I go hiking, whenever I'm just wearing casual clothes, it's a really cool, like it's got the green face on it. I'm pretty sure it's all solar powered. It might have a battery as like a backup, which I don't think I think it's all solar powered because she says if I don't wear it in like 3 days, it'll stop working. Completely waterproof, has a Kevlar strap, which his actually came with like a metal strap, which I thought was really cool because with this watch in particular, as soon as you change that strap, it like takes the watch 180. So I can put on a metal two-tone strap with this, and even with the green face, it looks so much more dressy and something I could wear with a suit, even though sometimes I wear this with a suit. And then I throw this on, and it's super, I keep saying super, but it's extremely like utilitarian, like a field watch kind of feel. And because I don't have a very large watch collection, I wanted something that was very casual that I could throw on with
Yeah.
jeans and not worry about it. Something a little bit more formal for my dressing up. And then I have the black one for whenever I wear a black suit. But what's really going to be cool is like the next few watches I get are going to be hopefully kind of climbing up the scale, which are what I'm
Yeah.
most excited about. The second one, good.
I was just going to say, to add on, so that Seiko, the Citizen Eco Drive that you had, there is one by Seiko that's very similar. It's called the Seiko 5. It's $80 retail. I think you can find it on Amazon. But it's a fully automatic watch. There's one that's black,
Wow.
and it kind of comes with that knitted mesh Kevlar type of band, and there's one, and it comes in green. I personally would kind of want to get the green because I could swap it out with like a brown band or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's a really cool field watch to, again, wear when you're like out and about. And the fact, even though it's $80, it's still an automatic. To me, I love the look of automatics. There are better quartz watches. There are higher quality quartz watches than there are some automatics. And then it's, flipped both ways. But I just like the aesthetic and the look of automatic, of like not, starting and stopping. It's just constant, even though they're moving really at the same speed, it's smoother.
That sweeping motion. Yeah. And that's really where I want to go with my next watches, is I really want to get into automatic, because that's when you really appreciate the mechanics of it. Like, these watches are cool from the face value, but like, you're buying them because they're cool and you think they look nice on you. You're not buying it because
you're buying it for the style and the aesthetic.
Yeah, you're not buying it because of the innards of it, which are the next watches I want, except this one is a quartz watch. But look at this bad boy. It's a Timex. The Risu, I don't know what it's called, but
that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I looked at some Timexes. There's one that they just came out with. It's got a gator band and it's got a gold face as well, but it's really cool. I think it's one of their newer styles that they literally just came out with.
Yeah, and this one, what I love about it is it's so inexpensive, but it kind of can play a role of, like, the amount of colorways that this thing comes in is ridiculous. But
$170,
170 bucks is amazing. And I'm either torn between this green one, because I don't know why I love green so much, or the rose gold one.
I would probably say the rose gold for versatility, especially if you're trying to like build that's pretty consistent with your style. The green is cool. There was a watch brand that we tried to do business with, and it ended up not working out, but it was Jack Mason, and they're based down here in Dallas. There was a silver banded watch that I wanted to get. It was kind of like the dive watch. And I wanted the green face, which was very similar to the Rolex Hulk. I didn't even think about that, but I like the fact that it was green. But if you think about it, like that specific green, it's not as versatile. So it's like with your wardrobe. When you're starting off, go for versatility, and then once you get 3 to 5 watches in or 3 to 5 suits in, then that's when you can start to experiment and have a little bit of fun.
Yeah. And plus, I already have a green watch, so it's not like I need it in my wardrobe. I love
but the
gold.
accent is cool.
Now, the next watch, which is going to be a bit of a stretch for me when I'm going to buy it, which online it says I can pay $95 a month for it if I would like, but I ain't going to get in debt for no watch. But it is another Bulova, and it's the Burton, and this one comes in at $1,050. But it's a tank watch. But just look at the sexiness of that watch.
I really like the numbers because that's kind of like 40s inspired.
Yeah, it's super bulky, but
it's got a rose gold face.
It's actually like a light brown is what it is, which is what I love about it. It's fully automatic, and it's got the I don't know how to show it. There we go. That's how it goes. And it has like the review, like the view back, so you can like see the
the clear case back, yeah.
So, and I think it says something on there, Joseph Bulova, like the owner, I guess. But I love tank watches, and whenever I see pictures of you in tank watches, I love them. Again, because a lot of them are a little bit smaller, which looks great on my wrist. But they're also just so unique. Like you don't see tank watches.
They are.
And that's what I love about them. Plus, that watch would give me another yet different view for my watch collection because I've got rose gold, I've got gold, I've got green field watch, and then having like a tank, like nice automatic would be what I need in my life.
That'd be really awesome.
But it's got to be
I would
real
like to
big
get a
life
tank
event.
automatic. Oh yeah. Like I want a tank automatic, but they're hard to find because, you know, it's so small and you've got to get that movement. So I've got I've got 4 tank watches. 2 of them don't have a second hand. So like, to me, that's the perfect kind of, like, for example, this one, that burgundy one I was talking about earlier.
That's
so
beautiful.
It doesn't have a second hand. And so I like the simplicity of this. Like, I'm okay with that type of a quartz watch. And it's so small too, like it doesn't really matter. But when you start getting into watches like either a bigger rectangle like this or, you know, a regular style watch like that, to me, I just think they look better with the automatic movement.
100% agreed, Austin. Well, how long has this been going for? We've been trucking today.
We've been going for a minute.
I think it's almost going on almost an hour and a half, 2 hours.
And look at us just rambling away. And if people are still here, we thank you so much.
And people who are still here on the podcast version, you're the real troopers because you can't see anything that we just described.
Just listen to us yammer away.
You're just like, you just love the sound of our voice so much that you just want to sit through no matter what we're saying. And we appreciate you. And Austin would like to give you a $100 gift card to the Man Shop for being a loyal patron to our show.
I was going to interrupt you and say a $100 gift card to Isaac Baker, supplied by Isaac Baker, but you kept talking, so I
beat you to the punch.
Well, guys, just know that those are going to start rolling out in about 2095. So that's when they'll start coming your way. So get ready. Get your name down on the email list.
Yeah, be one of the first one person to be able to receive this
the
gift.
First one person. 2095.
But no, yeah, this was a fun one. I love watches. I don't know nearly as much as I should yet. Actually, surprisingly, which would actually be a lot of fun to do a video on, is luxury yachts. I have been diving into the luxury yacht content like nobody's business.
To most of the underqualified people to talk about yachts.
They're so cool, though. Dude, some of the stuff that people...
It's like floating hotels. That's what they are.
Well, but I'm not talking about, like, mega yachts that are, like, 8 million feet long. Like, I'm talking about just, like...
Okay.
Like, small yachts, but that are, like, a couple $1 million. Like, it's literally...
That's back a change.
It's literally, like, a luxury watch that sits on the water. Is pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you put this much detail into a boat that you're going to drive? And you're probably not even going to drive that much, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because you can. And why would you buy it? Because you can. And there's just like...
Exactly.
I could get into yacht content. Not really menswear.
Well, before we get...
But...
Well, you can wear menswear on your yacht.
Or you cannot.
But true. But that's nudity, and that's illegal some places. But anyway,
international waters.
One thing, there you go. You're fine. You found a loophole. But one thing I did want to add, talking about like watches, like for me, with my clothing, like I said, I love handwork, and because you can get a suit at JCPenney for $100 on sale, and you can get this, and they both really have the same function, but it goes beyond that of where you find your value. So with me, with watches, there's one that's actually Grand Seiko, and Grand Seiko is Seiko. They used to be like linked together, but now they're completely separate entities. But like you buy Grand Seiko because like there's a lot of handwork into it, like in the face, there's like this hand carved scrolling. And when you look at these watches, you're not buying a thing to tell time, because we can tell time anywhere else. But specifically with the Grand Seiko, or any watch that has handmade qualities and elements to it, you're buying it for the craftsmanship. You're buying it for the history. You're buying it for that aesthetic. And so for me, like I said, that's what resonates with me. And really with any of your style as well, if there's anything that resonates to you, really, as long as it's quality, go for it. And sometimes, you know, if you want to wear a polyester suit because you like it, fine, go for it. Do what you got to do. But find something that resonates to you and puts a smile on your face, because if it doesn't put a smile on your face, the clothes don't need to be on your back.
Yeah. And I think like for a lot of people, it's find what you like and cut out mercilessly the things you don't like. So if for
Absolutely.
you, watches are a huge part of your wardrobe, you find so much fascination, you are like a true watch nerd, and you want to sink all your money into cool watches and you want to buy cheaper off the rack suits, I mean, I would then argue maybe you shouldn't be wearing super high-end expensive watches with polyester suits, just because it looks odd. But even if you went to like a cheaper wool version, like it's still a nice suit, but you're not really sinking the money and you don't care about the details, then do that so that you can go into the area that you want. Same like for me, like if I would rather buy a nice handmade bespoke suit and then buy a cheap fashion watch because it kind of goes with it, but I don't really want to sink the money into it, then do that. Don't feel like just because you're getting into style or fashion, or menswear is a very niche down version of it, that you need to buy the best of every type of product, unless you feel like you would like to get there one day. You can very easily cheat. I don't want to say cheat, but you can sacrifice on some areas to splurge in others.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Good point. Great point.
This was a good one. This was one of the good ones.
We say that after everyone, and it's right every single time.
Yeah, we're never wrong, which is the great good one.
Yeah, we're not. We're not wrong.
And if you think we're wrong, unsubscribe right now, because we could care less.
Don't do that.
Yes,
the thoughts and opinions of Louis Jeremiah do not reflect or.
But here's the thing: why would you want someone who doesn't think these are good podcasts to listen? I don't want you to waste your time.
There is that. Get out of here, Karen.
Real quick before we end, what is the male version of Karen called?
Kevin.
Kevin? Because I always thought Kevin was like that, like Hicktown douche. I always thought that was the Kevin, like the Red Bull drinking.
No, that's Kyle. That's
Kyle. That's what it is. Kevin is the Karen. Gotcha.
I mean, Karen. You can make a case for like Stuart or Dave
Phil
or David.
A Phil.
Yeah, Phil's cool. Like that's a cool name. It's like, hey Phil, you know. But like Dave, Kevin,
I know
Karen. It's just they make you kind of want to.
Who's very Karen-y. But
Dave, get your life together, buddy. Stop being a Karen, Dave.
But don't be a Dave.
Hey,
don't be a Karen.
Don't be a
Kyle.
I thought you were going to say something else for a second. Don't be a what? Dave. Oh, okay.
This is family friendly, Austin.
True.
So don't subject people to your dirty mind. No. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for hopping on.
As always, guys, please like, subscribe, whether this is on YouTube, whether this is on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, whatever that may be. Guys, definitely follow us there. Follow me at, what is it? Gentleman's Avenue. There you go. Find me at Gentleman's Avenue. We've also got a regular, like I said, work page at the Man Shop. But again, that's going to be linked in my bio. So find me at Gentleman's Avenue. But definitely please follow our Menswear Mindset podcast Instagram page. So if you have any questions or if there's any topic ideas, again, you can send them directly. But please send them over to the Menswear Mindset podcast Instagram page. That would be so great. And we greatly appreciate it.
100%. Please, guys, be sure to share this if you find it valuable, entertaining, whatever the case may be. We want to get this out to as many people as possible because we think it is great ear candy. Well, this is another episode in the books. Happy New Year, everybody. See you in the next one.
From your ear friends, Austin and Lewis.
Good night.